So, are you doing
Yeah.
Okay. So we have something called a NAS drive, N-A-S, and a lot of the desks have a shortcut to it. I'm looking to see if this one does.
Middle.
But no, but oh yeah, that is actually, I think it is it. Some of them look like this, some of it look like a folder.
Like that.
I hope this works. We'll have to just see. Yeah, I did. Okay. So if there is a shortcut, and basically it's going to say something like RHC NAS, if there's a shortcut, you can click that. But if not, you basically, the other way to navigate to it would be through the File Explorer. And that's going to open up wherever you were at. Like, let's say you're at the desktop last. But if you look along the navigation under this PC, if everything on your computer is appropriately linked, you should see that the Real Health NAS should be an option here. And when you double click on that, it brings you to this group of files in here. So this is kind of everything that probably 80% of the staff need. But at the very top, we have shared logs. Now keep in mind, the folder right underneath is the print folder. So these would not be logs that we're printing. These are other logs which mainly are going to be things that the front desk uses. Okay, there are a number of things in here. So, and we might eventually, I guess, convert these all over to Google documents if we need to. I think the reason we haven't is because we don't have a whole lot of different people using them. So,
Yay! Hello.
So probably of most importance to you all here would be the patient call log. And so we were just looking at this earlier. So the patient call log is actually something that is referenced on the post-checkout list. And this is for calls that we make to patients who have missed their appointments. And it's for the purpose of making sure that we call patients who have missed according to the proper schedule. So the first time that we should call patients when they miss is, and there are several tabs on here, but as I mentioned, the first is missed appointment. So the first time that we should call a patient is actually when they're 15 minutes late. And it's very important, I don't know if I'm in the wrong version or if this hasn't.
There should be some more.
Yeah, I'm trying to see here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this basically, unless there's a day that we don't have any patients who have missed, this should be updated on a daily basis. And what this basically shows is the actions that we took after a patient missed. So we call them for the first time at 15 minutes. And it may be that we reach them and that they're on their way, they're just running behind, and so the issue's resolved. Or it may be that we don't reach them at all and we get their voicemail, in which case we ask them to give us a call back. By the next day, if we still have not heard from them, the front desk staff is going to also give them a one-day call, basically. And this, basically, if you can imagine, if it's not structured this way, it could be that, some patients go without ever being called in an appropriate time period, or it could be that several different people in the office realize a patient's missed and call people repeatedly. So we don't want to do either. We don't want to drive people crazy and be obnoxious, but we also don't want to make their care and the compliance of their care not important to us. So if we don't reach them after one day, typically we will call back 1 week later. Once the front office has made 3 calls, or if anything alarming or concerning, let's say that the one-day call, the patient hangs up on the front office, if there's something of concern, the call will then be turned over to either one of the patient care coordinators or myself. But that should be something that goes on the team meeting, and then the team can determine. It might be that Wendy did their consult and has a real good rapport with them, or it might be that I know who the patient is and want to call them, but that would be an issue for the team meeting. But basically, every single day, the patients who have missed need to go on this log. And so probably what we want to do is, so the date that they miss will go here, their name, the initials of the person that made the 15-minute call. Yeah, basically the initials can go in here. As we get to the 1 week, the date can go in there, but any messages about pertaining to that will go here if you left a message or whatnot.
Question.
Any questions about that?
Would this be for new patients who don't show or cancel as well?
Anybody
Okay.
Who, yeah.
So we got to get that
So
updated.
I should, for example, like let's say that aliens abduct Deborah tomorrow. Sorry, Deborah. The team, we should be able to tell
what's going on.
Yeah, I shouldn't, and it could be very hard for any of us to remember who we called or when we called them last week. So this is also a method of accountability and making sure that we're all doing what we need to do when patients miss. This right here is our first adjustment log. And so basically, every single day, like today, for example,
Miss Jennifer needs to be.
Yeah, we actually had 2 patients who received their first treatment. You didn't, yeah. Then that's why we're kind of reviewing this, just so that everybody knows where everything is. So this keeps a record. So basically, every day we need to put the dates, we need to put the patient's name who received your first treatment. And it could be that they haven't been here in 5 years and they received your first treatment from a new provider. So it's mainly going to be new patients, but it could be others. We are going to always want to call them the same day unless they're leaving our office at like 6 or 7 at night. Then we can wait until the following morning. But if they leave, earlier in the day, 3 or 4, as long as it's been a couple hours and we're still, I wouldn't want somebody to wait 3 hours after work to call someone, but if we're still here working and it's a reasonable time to call, then we should call. And then the initials of the person that called should go here. And then if we spoke to the patient, basically left message is something that we could put here. And we have the scripts for the message that should be left or the discussion with the patient. But this also just creates a record to allow us to reflect back on how our new patients are responding. So let's say, hypothetically, we went to a new protocol where we decided to have patients start therapies and get adjusted the first day. It could be that over the course of the month, we have 15 patients that were all sore. That would be a good indication that we're doing way too much, way too soon, and so on and so forth. But this gives us a lot, of feedback. But then the first, assuming that we speak to someone and there's a response, that should also go to the team meeting the next morning just to let everybody know how the patient responded. This log here is for patients who are not rescheduled. So let's say that we're checking Mr. Smith out and he's going on a business trip and knows he's going to be gone for at least a week and a half, doesn't know exactly when he's returning. A lot of patients won't schedule. They'll say, oh, I'll call back to schedule. Well, this is a place for us to leave a note to ourselves about why the patient didn't reschedule, or maybe they're leaving because they just found out their family member has cancer and they're going to help them for a while. There are a lot of instances throughout the year when this happens. This gives us a reminder of where the patient's at, so that when they come back, and so that the team knows, and also we can plan to follow up with them at the appropriate time. This right here is a tab for calls that get turned over to the patient care coordinator or the provider. And so that's just making sure. So hypothetically, if front desk was having a problem with the patient over here and turned it over, they could make sure that somebody else would, the patient care coordinator had followed up and had called. So this is all about just building accountability between us all. And it looks like
I started that.
And you started the call log. Okay, and this is kind of like the same thing, so we can just condense that. That's the same thing as missed patient?
No,
or is that for other things?
Throughout the day, patients cancel, patients call for different things, and somebody asked me why they called, and I won't.
Good, Deborah.
remember.
So is this, are you using this in lieu of the written? Are you in lieu of writing it all on
Well, I was
Phone
writing
call?
it, and I
Gosh.
couldn't save it when my computer wasn't
Yeah.
saving, so I started.
That's a
writing.
good idea, because we could even search
Yeah.
instead of like getting all these notebooks. So maybe we should go to that system. You might have just created a new system.
That's good.
Okay, you can stop that, Mary. I think that's all. Any questions?